In this segment, we are going to demonstrate the functions of maintaining some of the master data or reference data that you would do under this application data. Only the application administrator can make any changes to the application data. What application data is that it allows all the standard settings or the standard descriptions that drive the system. Let's log in into the functionality to maintain or to update the application data. The way that the system works is that it's got a number of tabs, and then each tab, that's where you update the tables or the settings for each and every category of input that you would want to set up as standard on the system. I will concentrate on these three tabs. This one, which is entitled the provinces, which has to do with how do you update information about location, and then the project description, as well as the project outputs tab. Once again, the system has got this standard green tabs to make changes to the settings on the system, filter, creating a new one, editing an existing one, and then deleting an existing setting. Let's start with the provinces tab. In this tab, this is where you set up all the provinces that are actually going to be using the system to capture EPWP data. At this instance, we've only got the Gauteng province that is using the system. So we've only got location information with regards to the Gauteng province. The system sets up location information in a hierarchical manner. Within a province, you then drill down, and when you drill down into into the provinces tab, you will then see that within Gauteng, you've got the three metros, City of Joburg, City of Tshwane, and Ekurhuleni, and then the two district municipalities, that is Sedibeng district municipalities and West Rand. So it's split into those various 5 options. This is where you set up your location information, because each and every EPWP project needs to be specific when we capture information about where is it happening, where is it located, right up until to the ward level. Sometimes the specific EPWP project doesn't sit within one district municipality or a metro. Maybe it crosses across various municipalities. So you have got this option here, which is actually being already set up to say that this EPWP project cuts across these various municipalities. The purpose of setting up information in a standardized way here by the application administrator is to make sure that we've got consistency in the way that we name or call things, or when the users capture information on the EPWP project. We want the consistent name to call the City of Joburg. We want the consistent name to call the City of Tshwane. We want the consistent name to call Ekurhuleni metropolitan municipalities. This system is already preset with the standard naming conventions as approved by the demarcation board. As I explained before, let's assume that I want to create a ward within a Lesedi municipality, and then Lesedi, we know that falls under Sedibeng district municipality. So what then, as I've explained before, that the structure of this thing is hierarchical. I then go to the Sedibeng district municipality, and then when I click there, it will tell me the 3 municipalities that constitute that district municipality, being Emfuleni local municipality, Lesedi, and Midvaal. And once again, we've added an option so that users, if that project spans across various municipalities, they can choose this one. Or if they don't know which specific municipality falls onto, we've added this one. You can add any other municipalities as and when they change. So our intention is to add a ward number 4, within the Lesedi local municipality. So you double click there, and then it drills down to the ward level. And then for me to create or edit any ward information at this level, once again, I've got my standard buttons to update or maintain the entries down here, which has to filter, add a new one, edit, and delete. For me, I want to add a new word. We said it's word number 4. So I simply said new, and then I type it in. So there it is. I've already added in word number 4 within the Lesedi local municipalities. And then I click save, then save, then save. Within Gauteng, that's how you would set up all the information with regards to the location. And now I'm going to progress to how do we go about doing a project description as well as the project's outputs. Project outputs is here. The reason why we've standardized the way that project descriptions are entered or captured onto the system is because we want to increase the level of consistency when the users enter information about EPWP project. The reason for this is, for example, some projects have to do with the construction of a library. We want the users to type it consistently. If a project in Ekurhuleni is described as constructing a library, and then another one in Joburg is also constructing a project, those projects are more or less need to be described in the same way. So we want to have the users to be able to select from a drop-down list those descriptions that describe the EPWP project. So for you to do that, you would actually do it within this tab, project description. In my example, let's say I want to do a project that has to do with teaching old people or retired people garden farming. I would create that description here. I would just simply say new, and then I will say urban farming. And then there is my description that is now available for anyone to select in their drop-down list whenever they are dealing with projects with regards to urban farming. Now, project description is tightly linked or tightly coupled to the types of outputs that that project is all about. For example, I've got various project description here. Let's choose the one, for example, for housing. If you look at housing, let's say these are the projects that have to do with the construction of RDP housing. Usually the outputs for that project or the outcomes for that project will be the number of houses that have been completed and been inspected. So the way that you would measure progress when dealing with those types of projects that have to do with housing is normally the number of project units that have been built. You will see that immediately after I created this urban farming here, when I click onto the project output tab, the project output tab lists all the project descriptions that have been created under the project description tab. And the one that I've just created, which is urban farming, is just at the bottom here. There's urban farming, right? Now, the outputs for housing, if I were to create all the outputs that have to do with houses, these are all the KPIs or the measures that have to do with this thing, with the building of RDP houses. I would create it here. Let's say I wanted to delete this output and I wanted a new one. I would just press delete. Let's say I wanted to add a new one. Similarly, I would just say add a new other measure, right? Let's say as part of those EPWP projects that have to do with housing, we also, unlike, not only do we want to measure how many houses were built, let's also find out how many houses, let's also measure how many houses were built within the original time frame. So you would just simply be able to create that KPI here. So you will say number of houses completed on time. That shows you how to update project description and project outputs. Project description and project outputs are linked because the way you describe that project determines how are you going to measure its outcomes or its outputs.